There we go. So,
All right. We have lifted off.
All right. So I already played my intro. This is kind of different because I'm doing StreamYard now. And so I'm just going to go into it. All right. Today's episode is brought to you by us and every other podcaster on the earth. I'm not pitching anything. I'm just pitching podcasters. All you have to do, if you like a show, if you like somebody, give them $1. It's that fucking easy. You cheap fuckers, you got the device right in your hand. That's all you need to do is just give us some fucking money. $1 a show. It's the cheapest entertainment you're ever going to get. And with that being said, from a room next to my bathroom in my basement, this is My Worst Holiday, a podcast about your worst wedding, worst bachelor party, bachelorette party, your mother-in-law. You know you hate that bitch. Tell us something about her. And with that being said, we have a very special guest, Mr. Phil Perrier. Phil, say hello.
Thank you. Good to be with you. I'm honored to be on your podcast.
I hope that I made a better introduction than the guy that was on One Nighters.
Your movie. Greg, I hope he's still with us. I've not spoken to him in a while, but yeah, he
really?
He was a horrible MC.
God, the guy was fucking.
And there was another guy that actually did a good job, but he just brought on the other comic first instead of me. So it's like that's one thing you're doing one nighters. You're probably not going to get a good intro, and you just have to get over it. You know, you have to roll with the punches. You have to go up there and be whatever bad name they gave you or whatever Right now, are you having a stroke or some kind of a?
No.
I'm bent over now. Are you vomiting?
Trying to adjust my audio.
I did see it looked like you were carrying a big jug when you came in. Was that water or what?
Kinda. That's what the Russians call it.
Fire water.
That's what the Russians call vodka.
Okay, that's what it looked like, but I didn't know for sure. So this podcast ends when you pass out, or how does
something like that? Yeah, when you see me just kind of slump down in the. Good night, Phil. You have a good evening now. It's something like that.
Your outro music automatically comes on when you're no longer in the picture.
Yeah, Phil, tell us all about everything about you, man. Tell us all about you. You've got the floor. You got the stage.
Well, I think we became acquainted because I finished my documentary film not long ago, One Nighters, which is a 5-week comedy stand-up. Comedy road trip of myself and Dan Friedman, a good buddy. And this was shot in 2003. We were living in LA and we did gigs in like 25 gigs in 30 nights between Montana, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, just a huge swath of the Pacific Northwest, and drove our first night we went from LA, or our first gig, we went from LA to Helena, Montana, which is about a 20-hour drive. So, by the time we get there, we're completely frazzled from driving, and then it went downhill from there.
You can literally tell, like in the movie. And if anybody, if you can see it on YouTube, it's fantastic. It's called One Nighters, and you can tell that you're physically spent.
We are road rags.
Though, like that one bar, that lady, she looked like a lot of fun. What was her name?
She and I have drifted apart. I'd rather not say, but
Well, you've made new friends, so you lose one, you gain another.
They come, they go.
Not as open as she was to stuff, but
But it's just a beautiful thing.
Separated by states,
Yep. So that's One Nighters is my it's my baby. It's got great comics. Tim Wilson, we talked about. He's a very, very funny comic from the South, and he's in several of these little interview segments in the movie, along with Jay Leno, Judy Tenuta, Billy Gardell of Bob Hart's Abishola fame. You see him, in 2003 when he was just recently in LA, and he was already starting to take off. But I had no idea he was going to wind up doing 2 network sitcoms that are both successful. But just a lot of people talking about
what sitcoms was he in? I'm sorry, I missed
it. Billy Gardell is currently, there's a show called Bob Hart's Abishola, which is on, I think it's CBS, but it's on it's a prime time. And then he was in Mike and Molly for 5 years.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Billy Gardell, yeah. So he's in it, and Jay Leno and Tim Wilson. But to me, Tim Wilson,
little Timmy Wilson, God bless his soul.
Man, oh, what
What a
a
loss.
funny.
What a loss.
I know. He
I
passed
love,
away of a heart attack at 51 years old, but I mean,
yeah,
he was one of the funniest. I mean, I've seen Carlin live and Leno, and Drew, great comics.
right.
And I mean, he made me laugh more than
At the First Baptist Bar in
anybody.
Rio. First church west of the Bible Belt smells like a whiskey skill.
Yeah, I mean, he got it. And he was, he was just like in the documentary, he was just funny to hang out with him. If you're driving to a gig for 3 or 4 hours, he knew stories. And I mean, it was just a fascinating, cool guy, and one of those amazing people. And, it's like he talked about it. He should have been a household, with that talent, household name, but he didn't want to do that. He didn't want to stay in LA and jump through hoops and be the good little hillbilly. He wanted to do his thing, which was perform live, knock the roof off the joint, and put out his albums. And he was on Bob and Tom and John Boy and Billy and Rick.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like that's where I always heard him, was on Bob and Tom.
Yep.
And he was always great, even when he had other comedians on there.
Yeah.
And and the comedians doing their thing, he would just like kind of chime in and make a funny thing, and not try to.
And it was always good.
Yeah, he would never try to overstep him or anything, but he was just always really good. He's
yeah. I mean, I would not want to follow Tim. I don't think anybody ever followed him.
When I seen your documentary, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, little Timmy Wilson, like, God, I would have loved to have seen him.
I know. There's a movie out now called Tim Wilson Alive at the Punchline, which his daughter and Sophia and son Ari have put out, which is just, I mean, it's like some of the funniest stuff you'll ever see. I would highly recommend. I think it's on Patreon. Checking that out, but it's like 2 hours and change, and it's all Tim, and it's just, you realize what a treasure he was. And he did a ton. He did like Nashville Network many times. He did a lot of media, did a lot of TV, a lot of tons of radio, but just really a genius. And I'm so glad that in the film, he's kind of like, I think of him like, if you ever saw the Big Lebowski, the way Sam Elliott,
have you ever seen the
ties it all together.
Yeah.
Well, I guess our story's over now.
You also like fucking breathing or looking up the sky, or the Big Lebowski, the dude abides, man.
Yeah,
the dude abides.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, so I got the movie out now, and people are watching it. And then I had my first stand-up gig last Tuesday in Inverness, Florida, at a retirement. It was the Citrus Hills Golf and Country Club, like a 55 and over, community. And I mean, I hadn't been on stage in front of a crowd in over 2 years, and I had to do
an hour. I seen that.
I was like really nervous, and the drive and blah blah blah. And I got a standing ovation, and the people couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah, I haven't been on stage in like 20 years. God, you're never not nervous. You're never not nervous.
And that's kind of the part of the fun of comedy, is the fear of doing it, the fear of dying a dog to death,
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're a comedian, you have a good show, everybody wants to talk to you, put their arm, everybody wants to say hello. If you have a bad show, you're like the homeless leper. I mean, they don't want to make eye contact.
Last show I did is at a bar, and I was just kind of like, I'm gonna this entertainer was taking a break, and they brought me up, and it was bad. It was really, really bad.
How much time did you do?
Well, I was gonna do like 10 minutes, and because again, it was just a break in between, and I ended up doing about 5. It was just like nothing was gonna land. There was no bringing it back. You couldn't have brought it back if you threw fucking pennies at people. Like, here, I've got money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when, like, in like guitar act,
you can drizzle.
Yeah. It's raining pennies. That's like if you're a guitar act, that's when you pull out the guitar. It's like, okay, enough of these jokes, But you ain't got no guitar. It's like, you are on your own.
God, what I love is you can listen to the same song over and over, but if you do the same bit 3 days in a row at a place, well, they don't like that.
Yeah. And that's what I learned in my comedy career, was that if I was
jokes by November rain, motherfucker, come on.
Yeah. But the guys that get rich and famous write like a new hour of, like Tim Wilson. Right. I mean, he would have a new hour of tight shit every year. I did not have a new hour of tight shit every decade, you know, and most comics don't. And, you know, even they're good comics and you see them doing the same shit year after year after year. And you're like, why did this guy never catch on? It's like, because the guys that get famous, I mean, Carlin had, you know, like a new hour every, you know, 6 months. I mean,
and a genius hour. The
a
way he
gene,
put
yeah,
them
I know.
together,
No,
God, the way that guy thought was just, oh God. Well, nobody's ever going to think like that again.
And I'll tell you, the sad thing is, I think if Carlin was around now, he'd be getting the Dave Chappelle. He'd be getting barbecued by people for saying this or not being sensitive. You know, he'd be anti-trans. You know what I mean? They'd be picking at him. Huh?
I'm not following you.
Okay. You're not? Are you being facetious? And I think Pryor, I mean, like all, Don Rickles would be burned at the fucking
Don Rickles. God, they would stone him.
They would stone him. Yes, he would die in a hail of Evian bottles.
Yeah,
absolutely. And Rodney, I mean, you know, it's like the funniest stuff that we grew up with wouldn't be allowed to be seen today. You know,
no.
Which is it's a shame because I mean, comedy was we always thought like, well, it's satire. You can get away with that, but now you can't get away with shit. You know,
we got tickets to go see Bill Burr, and I'm just waiting for Bill Burr to get crucified because he dances on that edge so very closely.
Yeah, and Joe Rogan and Doug Stanhope. They're a bunch
he makes my eye twitch like, oh God, don't. And then somehow he'll bring it around.
Yeah,
and it's just magic the way he does it. He goes that way, wait, hear me out. and then he brings it back around and he's just masterful at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so hit us with some funny or embarrassing life stories, man. What do you got?
Well, you know, I was thinking about I got married years ago.
Real quick, let me just for everybody who's just joined us, anybody who's just watching, we're talking to Phil Perrier, and he's written for Arsenio Hall, Jay Leno, David Letterman, George Sanchez. This guy's fantastic. He's got
George Lopez.
Joe, what did I say?
George. I think George Sanchez is George Lopez's driver. I might have written for George Sanchez also.
It's a Mexican fella that he wrote for. George Lopez, who's fantastic. God, what terrible. Just terrible. Yeah. He has a documentary out called One Nighters, and you can see it on YouTube, and it's fan-fucking-tastic. Wow, so anyway, thank you. Phil, back to you, buddy.
All right. Well, talk about like I got married years ago, and I'm still good friends with my ex-wife. She's a wonderful woman. I don't think we ever should have gotten married.
I'm not, and she wasn't.
What? You're not married?
Not to her anymore, but she wasn't.
I'll tell you what, though, man.
But anyway, my wife right now is fantastic. 18.
We get up one day and she says, "We're going to," because we live in Georgia, and in South Carolina they've got these like cheap, like quickie wedding chapels, like in Las Vegas or something, you know, like right across the Georgia border. So she's like, "Let's go get married," you know. And I was like, "Ah." And this is right before I was going to move to LA, and I mean, I should have just said, "I can't do this," but I got in the car like a coward. And she drove a Toyota MR2, and she liked to drive like fast as shit. I mean, she was going like 90. We got pulled over 4 times. I mean, we had every sign from God that this was not. You know what I mean? He was like, "Don't do it." And we get to this wedding chapel, and she's got like $800 in speeding tickets. And it was just, I mean, the guy, the chapel, the minister, whatever, who did, and he cranked these things out. I mean, it was like a 30-second. It was like an auctioneer. Do you take this one? And the guy looked like Fred Schneider of the B-52s. If you know, like little pencil. It was bizarre. And just,
you say I do, rock lobster.
Yeah, I mean that would have been better. And I knew I was making a mistake. And I mean, again, it was not her fault. She's a wonderful woman. I was the problem, but I should not have been there. And while the thing is going on, I'm thinking, well, I guess a divorce is only like $100 at the paralegal, and it was just, so anybody out there, if you've got like a bad, if you think your wedding wasn't that great, I will trade unless somebody died or, a cat ate somebody or, the tiger you rented, mauled your mom or something. I mean, my wedding was a complete disaster on every, and again, the woman's wonderful. It wasn't her fault. It's completely my fault, but I hope I can make people feel better about their own marriage,
We don't have it bad. Did you meet Phil?
Man. But, and then also like my worst birthday 4 years ago in June, my mom died. I'm living in LA and I've got a rent controlled apartment. I got a girlfriend. I got a career. I got a life. I had no desire. I mean, I grew up in Atlanta, but I didn't want to move back to Atlanta. I was happy where I was. And, but my mom left me her house and I had a relative.
At least you're used to the interstates in LA because you lived in Atlanta.
Yeah, the thing, it's like as I've been
that's back a here, fucking fact.
Yeah, the 405 is to Atlanta or is to LA what 285. It's like sitting in traffic, not moving and being miserable. It doesn't matter if you're in LA or Atlanta or Anchorage or Beirut. It all sucks equally, But so I'm moving back to Atlanta, so I had to go home, pack up all my shit, move to it, drive my ancient Toyota Camry across the country. So my birthday, it was I think my 53rd or 54th birthday. I woke up in Flagstaff, Arizona. I drive like 10 hours to get to freaking Amarillo, Texas. I lose 2 time zones. I go from like Pacific to Central. The last hour, there are these giant like locusts smashing on my windshield. It was like the shittiest birthday. I drove like 5 or 6. I did not stop and smell any roses. I got to the hotel. It was just a disaster. It was like a rip off of a Night's Inn from the 70s. And
oh God,
I mean, it sucked.
You could smell the smoke before you even went in.
Oh yeah, but I don't complain. That's my, far be it for me to bitch. I got here, and I'm just happy to be alive. But
that's
like,
awesome.
what's the most awful story you've ever heard on here that somebody related?
There's, God, I've had a guy talking about jacking off over a midget. I've heard about.
Well, I have not attempted to jack.
Yeah, well, you got to be in the right state of mind, or at least the right place at the right time.
I feel bad for like midgets are constantly being exploited for sexual. I mean, I've never done it, but it's always like, whoa, I want to be
little person. I never should have said that. I'm never going to say that again. Sorry, that was bad.
No, but it's true though. I mean, it's like they've been fetishized out the ass for so long.
My wife loves. I don't know if you watch this thing called porn, but my wife is.
I don't watch the midget stuff because I feel like I'm exploiting them.
There's one called Bridget the Midget, and she's very famous.
Bridget the Midget, aren't we?
My wife went and seen her. We got a strip club up here called the Dirty 30.
Okay.
And my wife went and seen Bridget the Midget, has pictures with her and everything. Like, it's just like fucking over the moon. So,
like how old would you guess that Bridget?
I'd say Bridget's probably around 40 now.
And so she actually does like sexual. Is it like her with other midgets or full size guys? Or
I don't know. I never looked her up, but I knew she was a thing, and I knew my wife went and seen her, and I came back with pictures and was like all excited and said, had Bridget on her knee.
I've noticed something about why I don't know. It sounds like you and your wife have a pretty open. It's like you both know that the other one watches porn and you're okay with it.
Is that absolutely. Fair? Yeah.
Because what I've heard from a lot of wives and girlfriends is they're always like, well, my boyfriend or my husband is addicted to porn. Not he watches porn for 3 minutes, he whacks off.
Exactly. I mean? He's not addicted to it.
No, it's always like he's addicted to porn. Yeah, I mean, it's like I wonder is like, are these guys really spending 9 hours a day watching porn? I don't think they are.
Oh, God.
I think they don't like any. They have. My point is they have like zero tolerance for any porn by their husband. Yeah, and their excuse for that is, he's addicted.
I used to sell insurance door to door, which was also the closest thing to hell that you could possibly.
Yeah, I can imagine. Good
God, it was so bad. Jehovah's Witnesses looked at me and went, "Fuck."
But I mean, for like sales training, that's like boot camp. It's like if you can sell that shit,
just so terrible. And this guy lived in a trailer. I remember I go in and he's just got straight up porn on. Like you might want to.
Yeah, could you maybe dim that down?
Turn the channel. I hear the Cubs are on.
Was it just you and him alone? And
well, show me what kind of polishes you got. And I'm like, in the back,
man.
Like, fuck, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I've never, there's something else like, you hear about like orgies and sex parties. It's like, to me, it's like if I'm lucky enough to have a willing, relatively sober, naked woman in my home, that's it. That's all, what I mean? That's all I want. Okay. And if she
Drop
wants
the
to,
mic. I
yeah,
win.
full game. I don't need midgets or butt plugs or a horse or an
You
audience.
don't need them, Phil.
That's
It's not
it.
about need, man. It's about want.
I just, my feeling is, you want to. It's like Richard Pryor. It's like I want to get it, before it gets away. You know what I mean? I don't want to, involve other people and maybe wind up in court, or something got ruptured, or somebody broke a vase or something. So I've never, and I've never been in. I mean, I've never, like, in my entire life, nobody's ever said like, "Hey, man, you want to come to an org?" Now, okay, all right, this is okay.
And you've been on the road, like you've met some fucking people.
I just realized there is one, and this is, I'm gonna have to come at. I'm not gonna name any names, but years ago when I was like young and much better looking, I'm working with this guy and his wife, and the guy's like, let's say 40, and the wife is like 25. It's clearly a trophy wife situation.
Yeah,
and I was like 28 or 29, right? So I'm at the peak of my, and he's the headliner, and I'm the middle. And so we're like working for a weekend, as I recall. So, like, the next day we're at the pool. It's during the summer, like on the beach and in a beach area. And they tell me that the guy said, well, sometimes when we work with somebody we really like, I let my wife sleep with them while I watch. And I was like, well, damn, this, this has never happened before. This was like, I realized this is like that, that
I'm
moment.
sleeping with your wife, man.
Yeah, so like,
I'm not sure about the watching thing.
Yeah, so he said, don't, you don't have to fit, because like we had a show to do that night, so there's like hours to marinate on this thing. And he said, you don't have to figure it out right now. We'll talk after the show. But if you want to get it all in my wife, and I said something like, look, man,
that's a very polite polygamist.
Well, and I also I wanted to make clear, it's like, you don't like touch me. He's like, no. He said, I'll probably be passed out drunk, which is like, whatever.
I don't dress as Little Bo Peep.
Yeah. That's I want to make sure this isn't some bizarro.
Pretty clear about the butt plug thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm like homo tolerant, but I don't swing that way. You know what I mean? It's just like, let's make sure this is me boning your wife, like good Christians. No, no shenanigans. No monkey, no bad behavior. And so then, like, after that, I'm just like, my mind is blown. I mean, nothing like this has I've never been invited to anything like this. And I thought to myself, it was kind of like stand up. It's like, okay, well, if I say no, what will my reason for that be? And it would be fear, right? It would just be straight up fear. And I thought, and then this is the weirdest thought I've ever had in my life. Okay. I thought, what would Mick Jagger do? Out of freaking, I mean, I'm a Stones fan, but like, what would Mick Jagger would like be boning the waitress? I mean, so I was like, all right, damn it. So we did the show. After the show,
see, the dog walked in. Is it busy?
He's like, he said, are you game? And I was like, well, let's hang out and see what happens. And then, the night progressed, and one thing led to another. And I don't want to go in, this is a PG-13 situation, but let's just say I did in fact explore. And another thing I was thinking about, talk about pressure. I've never done it with somebody watching. Right. And I was thinking that, I might
that's
not.
The thing. That's the thing. It's like, okay, I'm down with the wife thing. But yeah, exactly. It makes that sound when Pac-Man gets eaten.
But luckily, I mean, I will admit, it took almost like half an hour rubbing against her thigh to get a boner, but eventually it did work out. And then I was in there for a long. That was like probably and it was like with a condom, so that slows things down. But I was like 28, 29. It was
right.
So yeah, that's by far the most bizarro thing. And of course now, I mean, if somebody offered me that, I'd be like, just no fucking way. I don't want to even.
I'll tell you another boner killer. Wilford Brimley.
Well, no, like I don't want to say midgets are a boner killer, but I don't.
Well, we had the TV on. My wife and I were going at it. The TV's on, and then Wilford Brimley.
Like, are you age 50 or 75?
Liberty Mutual. You.
Yeah.
What happened? Wilford
Yeah.
fucking Brimley happened.
And the only thing worse than that would be if you saw Wilford Brimley and you were like, "Oh, come on, baby,
Well,
yeah."
I want to turn on porn. Let's watch Wilford Brimley. Try doing that one.
Yeah, if Wilford Brimley gets you really excited, then you got to see a specialist, I think.
Steel pull. Cat couldn't scratch it.
But man, yeah, I mean, when I first started
That's a
doing
Cocoon reference for you youngsters.
when I first started doing comedy, I mean, they were like guys that were legendary freaks, like whether it was sexual, drug, I mean, like Frankie Bastille and John Fox. I mean, it was almost like Keith Richards and Ozzy Osbourne.
I heard about John Fox, like staying in one of those comedian condos after John Fox.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's like, yeah, you'd go to a condo and they'd be like, well, what's with that hole in the wall? And they go, oh, Frankie Bastille. They were always like the same little handful of freaks. Ollie Joe Prater. I remember there was a story about Ollie Joe Prater, if you know who that is, who was like this little kind of like cowboy dude who he did, and people said that he was a thief, but really I saw him live and he killed, but he did like every stock joke you've ever heard in your life.
Oh yeah.
But I heard like one time he went into a club where he was working and he like demanded when he checked into the hotel that they pay for his
teaching comedy now instead of doing.
Yeah. But they said that he got to the show that night and he'd insisted that the owners of the club get him a gram of cocaine before he went on. Right. So he goes out on stage. He's got jeans on, his cowboy hat, and a white button-down shirt. And his nose just starts profusely bleeding. And he's wiping his nose on his shirt. And people in the, women are crying and people are, oh. And he's like, what? You fuckers don't party? He just goes on with his shit. There's no. Can I tell one more bizarro story? Okay, so
you can absolutely tell all the bizarro stuff.
This is like therapy for comedians, So, like 5 years ago, let's say, I'm working the Pachanga in Laughlin, the Pachanga in like near San Diego. I think it's Temecula, California. It's a beautiful casino. And after the show, I'm talking to the MC, and I said, well, like, what's the most, the way comedians, it's like, what's the most fucked up show you've ever seen? And he said, okay, Andy Dick. And the minute he says Andy Dick, I'm like, oh, well, why do I even ask?
Can I sit down? Can I light a cigarette? Can I just pour me a drink? I'm going to enjoy this now.
And because I was watching Family Guy the other night, and Brian and Stewie are like at this hip nightclub that I guess they invested in. I didn't see the beginning of the show. And then at one point, this guy walks in and he says, I'm ready to party. And everybody leaves like it's a burning building. And it was like, I'm Andy Dick. Yeah. So, even like in popular culture now, people don't even know that Andy Dick was in, news radio and all the.
Fantastic.
He's got a great body of work, but he's just a complete freak. I mean, he's molested men, women, dogs. It's like, I think there's an aardvark that got fingered. I mean, but anyway, so I'm at this. I said to the MC, like, what's the most fucked up show you've ever had here at the Pachanga? And he said, Andy Dick. He booked, it was because, he's a TV star. So he booked like a weekend, like 2 shows sold out Friday, 2 shows sold out Saturday. And so the first show, they introduced him, ladies and gentlemen, Andy Dick. And they probably rattled off his credits. And he comes out and he sings this song about how he loves to suck dick.
Yeah.
And it's like 5 minutes in, the entire audience has walked out. And not only are they walking out, but they're like, this is the first show. So they're walking past the second show people waiting in line to buy their ticket.
No.
And they're like, don't just get, I mean, the whole weekend was, and they call, they got some other guy, one of those last minute things. But I mean, so yeah, Andy Dick. And that is the most like abortive nightmare. I mean, people have died on, like Dick Shawn died on stage. I mean, but I think, Andy Dick, I mean, if you're going to just go out and sing a song about how you love to suck dick and you're a man, even in Southern California, that's a hard sell.
You need to,
and if you're going to sing that song, it better be a great fucking song.
San Francisco.
Man. Yeah, God, I'm trying to think of like the most bizarro shit.
You're not at the Stonewall, Andy. You're not at the Stonewall.
And the thing is, it's like, I don't really even think he's gay. He's just like, he'll just molest anything. He's just like, he's like He is pansexual, you know.
People don't look about how diversified Andy Dick is. This is what you're doing. You're always concentrating on the negative. Like, I sing a song about sucking dick, you know. And
he's attracted to everything.
Yeah.
He's like Kevin Spacey. He never saw a busboy whose nutsack he didn't want to grab, you know.
Poor Kevin.
But you know, it's weird because like there's so many different levels of like the Me Too thing. I mean, you've got Bill Cosby who's raping and drugging. I mean, these are straight up felonies, or Harvey Weinstein. Right. But then, you know, like Bill Murray like pulled a production assistant's ponytail or something, and now his career. I mean, Al Franken took pictures with his hand on women's asses, and he can't be. I mean,
well, no,
like, I think there's got to be.
I watched that thing with Al Franken, and that was all bullshit. Like it was like it was a bit, and it was just. Yeah,
and I don't think he should have.
Franken is not resigned, a predator.
Yeah, no, hell no. Or I think like Garrison Keillor, like I don't gave a girl a back. I mean, they're just there should be some kind of meter to it, not just I didn't feel.
He was her furry home companion, you know.
Oh man, yeah. I'm like, come on.
That's an age joke too, there, kids. Look
I know. Okay, now Dustin Hoffman. Okay, we all, you know, the Graduate, and on and on and on, all the great work, Kramer, all those great things. But Dustin Hoffman, I heard he was doing, I think, the vagina monologues, and he's like backstage, and there's a girl reading her part, and he would finger the girl. Yeah, I mean, like she's trying to read her part, and you know, you've got Dustin Hoffman, you know, this Hollywood legend is giving you a pelvic exam, and you're trying to. So, I think maybe his cancellation.
Justin cares too much. That's all his problem is, that he cares too much.
Well, I'm sure that was, hey, you know, what do you say when you're accused of that? It's like, hey, I'm an affectionate guy, you know. That's my standard greeting.
My guard. Got my guard.
Good God,
Dustin.
I'm trying to think of the worst. I guess Cosby's like at one end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
But women
don't catch up with me.
The problem, like with women sexually harassing guys, is usually it works. Yeah. You know.
You want to see my fat Albert? No? Have a drink. Hey.
You know, like when I started out doing comedy, there were some like middle-aged women.
I thought that was pretty solid, actually. I thought that was
Now, how many listeners? How many viewers, listeners? What's your viewership like?
I don't know.
But I mean,
I really don't.
You ever encounter people that are like, "Whoa, I saw your podcast"?
Well, once in a while, once in a great while, I do.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
I mean, but yeah, I just I don't pay attention to it. I don't do it for that. I really do it because I just enjoy the people I've met I'm in a basement in LaSalle, and I've talked to fucking Oscar winners, you know?
Yeah, that's
filmmakers.
You said Bruce Valanche.
Yeah, exactly. Also, Larry Hankin. Larry Hankin. God, that guy's just been in everything. He's been. Nobody knows his name, but then
have you got a picture of Larry Hankin? Could you pop that up somewhere?
Larry Hankin is yeah. Tell you what.
Did you hear that Tony Dow of Leave It to Beaver passed away, I think, yesterday?
Well, I heard that he did, and then I heard that he didn't.
Oh, no kidding? So he didn't die?
I heard he was on hospice.
Oh, God. Doesn't that make you feel old that Beaver's big brother is in a freaking hospice?
Yeah. Let's see.
When you're watching the Johnny Depp Amber Heard, who are you siding with? Or are you?
This is Larry Hankin. He was on Friends. He was in. He played the Kramer.
Okay, I've seen. Character actor. Yeah,
character actor, and he's been in just so many things.
Yep.
He's fantastic. He was the cop in Home Alone.
Yeah,
he was the taxi driver in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. Yeah, he's just been in so many things. And the guy's just so good. If you look up at Larry Hankin, he's fantastic.
He just passed away.
No, he's still kicking.
Oh.
No, he's.
Oh, no, you interviewed him.
I interviewed him. Yeah.
Now, have you ever had anybody on who was like maybe drunk or buzzed, or you thought maybe they were like a little fucked up? Aside from myself.
I had this chick. She other than you. No, we had this chick, and she was a fetish chick. She was this fetish chick. And so we have her on, and she's like, well, I really don't do that stuff anymore. And I've got a family and all this stuff and everything. And she tells a story. And she's kind of dull, and I'm expecting like some weird, funny, what have you seen? What have you done?
Yeah.
Some
Some war stories.
It was just very much kind of G-rated all the way through it,
From a fetish chick.
Yeah, from a fetish chick.
Like false advertising,
Yeah, well, she was a fetish chick turned millionaire, is what she said. Well, what she did, she married into millionaire.
Turned millionaire, married.
Exactly. Yeah, my pussy made me a millionaire. And so, anyway, after it's done, she goes. I'm like, so did you have fun? What'd you think? She goes. Well, to be honest, I just about hung up on you right off the bat. And I go, well, why? She goes, well, you called me chick. What? You make guys come. And
yeah, I mean, she's a fetish chick, and now she's like Susie Wokestress.
Exactly.
I'm calling bullshit on that.
I know. I'm like, what? I'm like, well, good news. Nobody's ever going to see it.
Yeah. It's like, well, I called you a chick. I didn't call you a cum guzzling skank.
Delete. Bye. What? You help guys come.
Wow. Yeah, you're getting like, holier than thou from like, somebody that put a Duraflame log up her ass and beat a guy with a cane.
It'd be different if she painted the picture of who she was, and I could do a G-rated show, like, hey, if you got a funny or embarrassing story and you don't want us to cuss, I'm good with that, Don't paint the pictures. I'm a fetish chick, like that you put heels in the back of guys, and make them scream until they get a safe word. Yeah, no, right. But I call you chick. Oh.
Yeah, man. Well, you're not going to encounter that sort of nonsense with me. I'll tell you that.
And don't think I don't appreciate it, Bill.
Well,
I do.
You've been nothing but good to me.
I try. Yeah, and I think I just seen you on Facebook. I'm I got friends of friends and stuff like that.
It's on Facebook. I mean, if somebody's not on Facebook, I assume they're either dead or don't want to be found. You know what I mean? It's like everybody is freaking on Facebook now.
Right.
And if you're not, I don't know, maybe very young people. It's like there was go to Snapchat. It's like, no, I'm not going to go to fucking Snap. I'm not going to be like the creepy 57-year-old guy on Snap. Hey, how are you?
And I'm not an Instagrammer either. I really don't get Instagram. Like, I don't understand like having to post a picture before you say something, and then it's limited. Why? Unless you do everything all on one platform.
Exactly. I don't like. I mean, I do Twitter, but to me, there's no there. But like Facebook, I feel like, oh, okay, I know how this kind of works.
Right. And I don't do anything on Twitter. I don't even post on Twitter anymore. It's like, what the fuck?
Twitter's just like people blurting shit out. Just like Tourette's. You're like, I got a movie out. I just took a dump. Hey, I had a sandwich.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's another thing. I don't think we need to take a picture of our coffee for breakfast or a muffin. It's like if you're eating a lobster and a steak, fine. But if you're eating a bologna sandwich, I don't think that's not a Kodak moment, if I may.
Right. If I'm making a poached egg over a crab cake with hollandaise sauce, I'm gonna post that one.
Fuck yeah, hell yeah.
I made that. I'm fucking proud of it. It's not a cup of coffee. Yeah. And we know you can't fucking function without your first fucking cup of coffee every fucking morning. You don't have to fucking post it. God damn it.
Now, do you know, is MySpace still out there?
I'm sure it is. I don't know.
Because that was like one of my intro a couple years
ago.
Was like he's the number one still on MySpace.
And I'm permanently kicked off of it for what I did to that dog.
But I mean, MySpace, that makes you realize how ephemeral Facebook could evaporate in 5 minutes and it'd be something else. Because remember, MySpace was it. I mean, MySpace was, Yeah,
MySpace started out as Friendster, and then Friendster got bought out by MySpace, and then they didn't pay attention to what Facebook was doing, and by the time they did, it was too fucking late. I listen to shows like Business Wars, these podcasts that are just fan-fucking-tastic. Yeah, God, there's so many good American Scandal, Business Wars, American Innovations, The Dollop. If you haven't listened to The Dollop,
The
God,
Dollop?
The Dollop. Listen to The
What's
Dollop.
that about? Is that like a business stuff?
No, The Dollop is an American history podcast where
Right there.
there are two
I love
comedians,
history.
Dave Anthony and Gareth Reynolds. And Dave Anthony will tell a story about history, but Gareth Reynolds won't know what the story's about. And so he's just commentating along with it. It's the whole reason I'm even into podcasting.
Really?
Yeah,
The
absolutely.
Dollop. I'll give that a shot.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Write that down. And it's just like a dollop of whipped cream or something like that.
Now, do you ever watch any ASMR?
No, what's that?
Okay, ASMR, it's autonomous meridian sensory response. What it really is like soothing, tingly shit. You'll watch a video of a woman scratching another woman's arms, or scratching her back.
Oh, yeah, okay. I've heard about shit like this.
Fucking addictive. It's because if you're an old guy like me, I mean, like masturbating could kill me. I could have a stroke or a heart attack. You know what I mean? I didn't mean to make you do a spit take, but
you've already been through so much. Don't jack off, man.
I know, but I'm just saying, like, I don't necessarily always have the energy.
So much.
Jacking off is sometimes just more energy than more disk space than I can spare. So I want to watch some soothing shit, and you watch these videos and they're like, 10 minutes. Some of them are an hour.
It's like watching people strip paint. Or something.
Yeah, I mean, just like cool little sounds and nails tapping on, and it's just like you're like, it's kind of okay. Remember Bob Ross, The Magic of Oil Painting?
What's that?
You ever see Bob Ross, The Magic?
Oh, yeah.
You see, I mean, because back then I didn't know what ASMR.
That's sensory. That is sensory. You're watching. Yeah. You can't look away. You can't look away. And that's why he's so big, is because he was like the first guy who kind of. He didn't even realize what he was doing.
I don't think anybody did that before.
He was just painting. Yeah, he didn't realize that he was doing this sensory thing.
Yeah. And I mean, I didn't give a fuck about oil painting. I didn't want to paint. It wasn't like I wanted to I'm going to go get an easel and be like Bob Ross. I would just keep talking about the squirrel. It makes me so happy. Because he created this like soothing little world, Yeah.
We're just going to put a little squirrel over there. Don't tell anybody about the squirrel. Don't
Oh, there's a little squirrel right there. I'm going to paint him.
Right, we're going to put a tree.
I just drooled on the canvas.
The squirrel wants to climb up to the tree. We're going to put a nut there. And he's going to get that nut later, but he's going to eat.
So for me, Bob Ross was like the old, and also Jacques Cousteau. He kind of talked, look at the little whale. It's with his mama. It was just like
I do a bit. I used to do a bit about Jacques Cousteau.
Yeah.
And me getting stung by a jellyfish, being from the Midwest.
Yes, you spent very little time in the ocean.
Yeah, and I'm at the ocean. I'm at Tybee Island down in Georgia. And anyway, the only thing I've ever heard of as jellyfish was, this is a deadly man of war. Its sting is death. And I'm like, fuck. So people are talking about like, yeah, watch out for the jellyfish. And I'm like, whatever. So like, if there's jellyfish, why are people in the fucking water? Showed you. I didn't know there's other kind of jellyfish.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I've been stung by non-lethal jellyfish, but it's not pleasant. I mean,
as it turns out, I did too, and it scared the fuck out of me. I went screaming out of the ocean like a fucking madman, yelling to everybody, "I got stung by a jellyfish! I got stung by a jellyfish!" And nobody gave a fuck. I think I'm gonna die. I literally think I'm gonna die. And this lady has this little thing. She says jellyfish gel on it, and she goes, "Put this on it." And I'm like, "This will cure me?" Yeah.
Wow. And did it work?
This will cure you. So
nice.
They're like, "Thank you, lady. Thank you, goddess from heaven. Thank you for saving my life."
You just happens to have jellyfish jelly. Here, have this.
Yeah, jellyfish jelly.
Can I tell you my shark story?
It was not the deadly man of war jellyfish.
Well, thank God.
Yeah.
Can I tell you my shark?
Those aren't in Tybee Island. Those are more around Australia.
Man, I don't know. I mean, the ocean's the ocean. There's shit that'll eat you in there. It doesn't. You could be. I don't know, man. It could come through the toilet, frankly, is what I've heard. But can I tell you my I know we're running out of time, but can I tell you my
We're
shark
not
story?
running out of time. You got this is a podcast.
Well, okay,
You
we're gonna
literally
say
have-
because of I'm painting my water closet. We're gonna say like 13 more minutes, and then I've got to go do, frankly, another podcast about the best thing. No, okay. So I'm
My best
somewhere.
holiday.
All right, so I'm somewhere. I think I'm in Florida. I'm doing a gig. So during the day, I used to. This is before I was crippled. I used to go out and jog, and then I'd walk on the beach. And I see like there's this little, like when you're on the beach and there's like a little group of people looking at something. You can tell somebody caught something cool.
Right.
So I walk up, and there's a guy with a shark that's about a foot long.
Yeah.
And he's obviously just caught it surf casting, and he's taking the hook out of it. And it's, it's like the sharks are incredibly muscular little animals. I mean, it's still. It's fighting it's fighting for its life.
Everything in the wild is a muscular little.
Exactly. We're the only soft, lazy species, And so there's let's say there's 8 or 9 people, and there's little kids and stuff. And I'm looking at it, I'm a comic, I got a big mouth, and he's taking the hook out of its mouth. And I was like, man, it looks like a perfect little Jaws. And the guy looks up at me when I say that, and when he looked up, it bit down on his thumb.
God.
Yeah, I mean, he like his eyes. You're like, woo! And I had completely. I mean, it's his. You never take your eye off a fucking shark.
Right.
But for all intents and purposes, I completely created this situation. So I mean, I'm just like, I think this will be a
bright side, Phil. You got to tell that on this show.
Yeah, and I was like, this is a good time to just walk the fuck away, And so I walked away, and then I came back like half an hour later, and the guy's still there, and he's got like gauze, and there's like red bloody gauze wrapped around his, and there's like only 2 or 3 people now still with him because I guess he's losing blood. And I mean, I'm walking by, and he looked up at me like, that guy looks vaguely familiar. I was like, I wasn't gonna, hey man,
aren't you the reason I'm 3 digits?
Aren't you the reason that I'm bleeding out now?
I never forget a face. I never forget a face. You look like the guy that because I'm 3 digits down now. That's you.
Little perfect little
Jaw. Like that guy. Like, no, I've never seen you before.
And then another time, I'm on I went and did this gig in Grand Cayman
Or you
Islands.
just go by going, da-da.
Yeah, no, I was just like,
da-da.
I am not going to engage unless he's like, hey man, I'll be like, well, keep your eye on the fucking shark, man.
Moon. You need some fucking salt.
But yeah, so I guess the moral of the story is A, keep your eye on your fucking shark, and B, don't speak when somebody's holding, don't distract the
keep your eye on your fucking shark. That's
on him, he's probably got to reconstruct.
I think I just found the
But another, can I get time for one more story?
Absolutely.
By the way, when you said old stories, I was like, I can't remember old stories. And now old stories are flooding into my fucking head. And I know later on I'm going to be like, oh my God, I should have told the story about,
and you're welcome, Phil. You're welcome back anytime. You can get a hold of me anytime, and you're more than welcome on anytime. I think I found a new friend.
Well, no, I consider you a friend, my friend. All right. So I'm scuba diving in the Cayman Islands. I'm doing a club down there. So the scuba diving is free as long as you take the fucking resort course every single. So, I mean, I'm on my third, I have more diving experience now than most certified divers, but I've still got my little resort course. But anyway, so we're going on the Stingray dive, which is where you go down in shallow water and you hold fistfuls of squid, and stingrays just get all over. I mean, it's like a titty bar for, you know what I mean? You're getting like lap dances for, and you can pet them, and they feel like velvet. I mean, they're amazing. And then the dive master, like the dive master, before we go down there, he's like, listen, they can't bite you, so don't worry. It's not like a shark dive, right? So
no, but they can fucking harpoon you. They took out the crocodile hunter. They killed the fucking crocodile hunter.
Steve Irwin, they killed his ass.
Yes.
They didn't mention that. Well, then I think they didn't mention, if they deploy that barb on their tail, they will fuck you up.
You are fucked.
But they said they can't bite you, right? So I get down there, and in the first,
and that's a fact. That's a fact. They cannot bite you.
Listen to the rest of the story. We'll see how much of a fact it is, my friend. I get down to I get there. There's a circle of us. It's like a drum circle of people. I'm sitting on we got weights, so we're sitting
drum on the circle of stingrays.
We're a circle down there. We're all got our squid deployed, right? And I feel this hard freaking clamp down, this bite on my shoulder.
Yeah.
And it's a freaking stingray biting my ass with his plate, because he doesn't have teeth, but he's got plates, and those plates can fuck you up, right?
Right.
And
Right.
he gets off of there, and there's like a welt, and then the fucker bites me again a few minutes later. And I get back on the boat, and I say to the dive master, it's like, hey, man, those fuckers can bite. And I pointed to this welt on my arm,
Right.
and he just like didn't even process. You know, it's like his spiel had been for 10 years, stingrays don't bite. And I was fucking up the apple cart. You know what I mean? He was not
Right.
going to admit that
Right.
they bite, because that's like, you know. He did. That's what they don't want you to know, man. Stingrays can bite.
Fucking, they're pushing Big
Stop
Ray,
the
man.
steal.
They're
Stop the
pushing
steal.
Big Ray.
Lock her up.
Fucking right. All right, so let's see. Always keep your eye on the shark. Stingray lap dance, or that stingray was a dick. Which one do you like?
And you know, I mean, when I think about it, I mean, I got like crippled for life surfing in 2005. I got seriously fucked up boogie boarding in like the late 90s. So you'd think I would know, just kind of stay the fuck away from the ocean.
Like you had warnings. You had fucking warnings, bro.
Yeah, I had
this is on you, man. This is on you.
Yeah, no, it is. It is. And like when I was a little kid, we'd go to the beach. I mean, I've always been fascinated by the ocean. I've always loved it, but I have been stung. But one time I was in Daytona Beach with my friend Bart, and we were swimming in like a riptide, and we're like, you know, we're getting further. It's like a weekend day. The beach is full of lifeguards, and the beach is getting farther. You know, we're like 12, 13 years old. And pretty soon the beach is like a fucking mile away. And I mean, I'm not a good enough swimmer. And a lifeguard with one of those big rubber, you know, like just like in Baywatch, he came out, grabbed us both, did the backstroke, got back in 2 minutes. But he saved our lives. I mean, you know, so yeah, the ocean has just, I mean, I have not done well. I have not done well. You know, let's leave it at that, you know. So if I ever say, like, I'm going to take up surfing, he goes like, no. Don't.
All right. So I want to be able to hang out with you for a minute after the show's over. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to end it here, because
okay. All right. Thanks.
You got a bathroom to paint or some shit.
Yeah, the water closet has to be liquidated.
Yeah, is that the name of the other podcast that you're cheating on me with? The water closet? Is that fucking code?
This is my only podcast of the night, my friend.
All right, and Phil Perrier, thank you so much for joining us. He's got a documentary called One Nighters. It's fantastic. He's written for Arsenio Hall, George Lopez. Got it that time. David Letterman, Jay Leno. This guy's a fucking legend. Look him up. And as always, if you like a show, give $1 on Patreon and My Worst Holiday at patreon.com. The device is in your hand. If not, rate, review. It's go on the Apple and just do that for us. It's the easiest that it's not going to cost you fucking money. Tell me if you think I'm a cocksucker. I don't care. But at least rate me. Rate me. God, that sounded bad, didn't it?
I think there might be some pissed off midgets, you know.
And anyway, all right. And from a room next to my bathroom, my basement, this has been My Worst Holiday. Good night, everybody.
Nice. That was fun.